Welcome, everyone, to Borderless Leadership. This is Betska, the Guru Coach, together with my dynamic co-host, Raj Vashisht. I'm Vancouver Island-based, and Raj is from Delhi. And today is our incredible guest. His name is Commander Bimal Raj, retired commander.
Thank you.
17, yeah, such a pleasure to have you here, Bimal. Bimal's been in the Indian Army for 17 years, so you can imagine the conversation we are about to have. He's a multi-award-winning certified executive power coach by Coaching and Leadership International. He's a mindset mentor and teen parenting coach. All you parents out there, pay attention, right? We want to have a discussion today about teen parenting. He's a TEDx speaker, author of award-winning and Amazon best-selling book, What Next? The Art of Bouncing Back. Wow, we all want to do that, don't we? We all want to bounce back. He's the podcaster on Spotify of Awkward Talks. If you haven't been there, go and check it out. He's an amazing podcaster. He's Blaze Singer Training Academy certified, NLP practitioner, father, and husband, son, and he's a pet parent. Welcome, Bimal.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Betska. It's my privilege to be part of your podcast. Thank you so much for inviting me.
You're very welcome. And folks, I would like to begin our podcast by reading from Bimal's Amazon best-selling book, What Next? I've got a very rich copy in my hand here. And it's just a couple paragraphs, so bear with me, but the conversation afterwards is going to be very rich, I'm sure. So I'm quoting, "There was no logical reason for my suffering, my pain, and my betrayal. The more I thought about it, the more I got upset. The more I argued with God, the angrier I became. This went on a daily basis, and I was turning into a sad, depressed, angry, and constantly upset person who did not like to talk to anyone, smile, or even sympathize with someone else. I started becoming the opposite of who I was before the accident. I was sad most of the time, snappy at people, and was a very unhappy man, and I didn't like myself anymore. Life became miserable for me. I stopped talking to people. I was constantly in a cycle of blaming God for everything, believing that what was happening to me was not fair, and I should not be here, and I should not be suffering like this. I had reached a point where I could not handle it anymore. Dark thoughts started overwhelming me. My future looked bleak, and I was upset that all my course mates were progressing in their careers while I was stuck in a hospital bed with no future." Wow. What a story, folks. Please read the whole story in What Next. So, Bimal, tell us about what happened here.
Okay. So the whole thing started with an accident. I had a motorbike accident, and I had a head-on collision with a truck. And I was in the hospital for about 2 years, and this was the initial part of it. Now, the whole thing was that I was a teetotaler that time, and we were going out for dinner for celebrating someone's appointment, and I was the only one who was not drunk. Everybody else was drunk, and the person who was sitting behind me was so drunk, he didn't even realize that we met with an accident. He was so drunk.
Wow.
So we were on bikes, and we were going for dinner, and this whole thing happened. And for me, I've been a good person. I've wanted good things for other people. I've never wanted ill, even intentionally, or even in my intent, I didn't want anything bad happening to people. So when I was in this situation, I felt that it was very unfair because I'm a good person. I've done good things in life throughout. And if I looked at that incident, it was why me was the question, because I was not drunk. I was not driving rash, and everybody else was in a different state. And I said, this should not be happening to me for all that I've done in life and given in life and what I've stood for. So that was the cycle. And my life was going in one direction, and it was like, you know, sudden U-turn and sudden, break. And, I didn't know which way to go and what was in store for me. And that was a very dark space for me. And, I was constantly trying to reimagine the situation and, where was the mistake? Did I do something wrong? And every time I thought about it, I realized that, I didn't do anything wrong. So this should not be happening to me. So that was the space I was in.
So you were in the hospital for 2 years.
Yes, totally 2 years.
So what did you break? Like what was?
Oh, I had my entire shin, the ankle part, it had become like a bouquet. It had opened out completely. I had a dislocated patella. That is, my kneecap was. I thought they were initially in where I met with the accident. We didn't have enough orthopedic facility, so the doctor thought it was completely crushed. I had a fracture of my hip and a dislocation. So basically, my entire right side from hip down was completely gone. Luckily, I had a very good helmet that saved my life. People who saw the helmet refused to believe that this guy could be alive.
Wow.
So, so that's also mentioned at some point. You'll read it, connecting the dots.
Wow.
So I
So what
had
did you
about
do?
5 operations and stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Wow. So a lot of
Yes.
stuff going on there for you, some health issues. So when I look at you today, I've known you for many years. I mean,
Yes.
one would not know that you've been through such a harrowing experience. So what do you think got you out of that?
What got me out of that?
Yeah, what got you out of that funk and out of that dark space, and what did you do?
Yeah, I think at some point I got tired of myself whining so much. You can hear after some time, right? And
Yeah.
and unfortunately, unlike now, where I have you as my guru who can guide me and take me out of any situation, I can just call out to you. At that point in time, in '98, there was no internet, there was nothing, and I was in the Indian Navy.
Right.
So, and there was no phones. There's absolutely nothing. Everything had to be figured out by myself. So I didn't have mentors whom I could reach out to and, ask for help and direction. I'm going through this. What do I do? So at one point, in when I go through, so I've been a very pampered child. I've been taken care of very well when I was growing up. And from there, I was suddenly thrown into the Indian Navy. Okay. And the training is pretty gruesome, coming from a very pampered and protected, environment. So it was like you're sleeping and somebody is splashing, ice cold water on your face. So it's
Yeah.
that kind of a arrangement. So there also, initially, I was like, where did I reach? And at some point, I realized and I figured out that the only way to survive is first to embrace what was happening, take responsibility, and then take each day as it comes.
Mhm.
So once my training starts, the only time I could go back home and meet my family was after 6 months, after the term ended. So
Mhm.
I realized that there's no point cribbing about the 6 months. It only make my life miserable. I started looking at each day. I said, no, what can I do today and where can I find happiness? And I started, at some point, the same kind of principles hit me. And I realized that this whining and complaining was not helping me.
Mhm.
I think human beings have a need to be happy. 99.9% of the people, despite the circumstances that they're in, once after they spend a little bit of time over there, there's a need to find happiness. And I think I reached that point where I was willing to look beyond what I was going through or what happened. And I wanted to see what was available around me and how can I thrive in whichever environment I was in. And that was my turning point.
Excellent. So, question for you around all those years in the Navy. How did some of your learnings from those 17 years in the Navy help you in this situation?
Oh, first was this. Obviously, figuring out that I need to look at a per day basis. Okay, when I'm in a place where I didn't have a way out. That is the first thing, and the second thing was the fact that there is a concept of living in the moment. Okay, so when as a junior most, there's a lot of physical, punishments and stuff like that we had to go through. Okay, so we don't call anything ragging because it was basically about making us mentally tough more than physically tough. So there have been a lot of times when I've gone through things, I've done things which I never thought I would go through, whether it was mentally, whether it was physically. I've been stretched to the extremes of physical endurance. Okay. So at that point in time, there is no point thinking, when will this get over? It's thinking, okay, what can I do right now? Okay. And at some point, I knew that even when seniors took us for ragda, for punishments, whole night punishments and all, at one point we knew that it was going to be a sunrise and this had to end.
Yes.
Exactly. They were saying that nothing lasts forever, not even your troubles. So I've been through those harrowing experiences where I knew that it had to end at some point.
Yeah.
So
that's good advice. Great advice, right? Yeah.
So there was always that glimmer of hope that yes, this will end and these things will change. So I had been through those experiences multiple times during my training time, especially in the junior most. They say that's when they mold us the maximum because we come from a very different thought process and we're all very different individuals who are very good at whatever we did outside. But that doesn't help the armed forces. They need people who are similar and who can work together as a team and help each other. So first year is all about breaking us, our ego and everything, and then they start molding us.
Wow, that's quite the experience. Well, listen, folks, we're going to take a short pause and we'll be back for part 2. More with Bimal Raj. Back soon.